Hello everyone and welcome to Germany for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League German Grand Prix. This is the season finale here for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League. I am Tim, and how are you doing out there today? We have 9 drivers right now out there for this qualifying session. Currently we have 2 drivers on track, with the other 7 being in the pits. We may have a few more drivers join before the race, but right now for the qualifying session we are at 9. We have a newcomer of Burmeister, who is currently in the 8th position in the Racing Point machine. We have Scope Builder, your Drivers' Championship winner, who is in the pits. We have Boy Better Know in the 5th position. He put on a good performance, in a dashing performance in the Performance League yesterday, finishing in, I believe it was, 2nd position. We have Rasty right now taking his outlap, riding on board with him. And right now, Burmeister has set the fastest lap of the session with a 1:13.879 so far. And that is a stellar lap. And that is on hard tires, no less. So, first lap down is a 1:13 on hard tires. That is by Burmeister right there in what looks to be the 87 Racing Point machine. Right now, we have TB on his outlap. We have one driver of White Fountain who might be taking the softs, but he is still in the pits. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, we are looking at V-Sketch HD on his outlap. He is in the Red Bull, and he is coming around the final corner, crossing the line now. He's going to start his flying lap. And V-Sketch HD, he gets wide. He goes very wide into turn 1, and then he spins it. Spinning into turn 1 is V-Sketch HD. This will not be the lap he is looking for. Meanwhile, we have TB in the Toro Rosso. Of course, Toro Rosso just recently got approval to change their name for next season. So, come the days of F1 2020, we will no longer be calling them Toro Rosso, and that's going to be a big jump. So I'm already apologizing for the mistakes that I'm going to be making a year from now. But they're Toro Rosso for the moment, at least. Still watching V-Sketch HD now, as there was some issue with TB. And now Rasty in the McLaren has set the 2nd fastest time, a 1:15.377. So far, nobody has anything for Burmeister in the 1st position at the moment. TB has now gotten back into the qualifying session. Just a little bit of an issue there. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry for the black screen. Just bear with me for just a quick moment, guys. I apologize. Alright, and now we are back for the action. I apologize for that. That will not happen again. Still watching Rasty in the 2nd position. So far, no one has set another lap faster than Burmeister, who just set a fast lap of 1:13.265. 3 laps now on those hard tires. He is your provisional pole sitter right now, but we have White Fountain in the Toro Rosso now making his outlap, now starting a flying lap going into turn 1. Does not make the same mistake Rasty did, or excuse me, V-Sketch HD did, but came a little close to it. Now going into turn 2 there. And he gets on the curb, and then he spins. He does not spin, he keeps it straight, but he does not keep it on the track. White Fountain now in the grass, not going to have a good lap this time. TB now on his outlap yet again under the Fanatic banner. And now we have V-Sketch HD, who has set the 2nd fastest time, a 1:14.194 for V-Sketch HD. Riding on board with TB, and he completes his lap. Or at least his out lap right now. Riding on board now, he is on his flying lap going into turn 2 under the F1 2019 banner. Meanwhile, we also have White Fountain and Scope Filter out on the track as well. Only 3 drivers in the pit right now of Burmeister, Boy Better Know, and FPL Charlie. So Scope Filter, your driver's champion, and White Fountain. Looks like White Fountain has had another issue, and he is stopped on the track. So White Fountain not going to have a good lap this time. Scope Filter, your driver's champion. I was actually speaking to him a little bit before the race here today. And he said that this is actually going to be his final race for the foreseeable future, as he is taking a break from league racing. So this will be his final race for, as I said, for the foreseeable future in the F1 League for the Invictus Racing League. So we wish Scope Filter a good farewell race, as he has now set the second fastest time of a 1:13.353. A 1:13.353, fast enough for second. Burmeister still in first with a 1:13.265. So far, Scope Filter is the only other driver to get into the 1:13s, but just as I say that, TB crosses the line, sets a 1:13.448. So TB now third with a 1:13.448. We have 6 drivers who have now set a time and 3 drivers who have yet to. Taking a look at Rasty, but he is now going into the pits. White Fountain, meanwhile, he is on a flying lap. He's already completed 1 lap with no time. Apparently, he had an issue with corner cutting. Now entering the stadium section through the past the grandstands in this final sector of the course. Maybe slides a little bit, but White Fountain will hang on to it. Now out of the final corner, going down the straightaway, he will cross the line. Where will he end up? A 1:19.546, 7th place for White Fountain at the moment. So now only 2 drivers have yet to set a time. That is Boy Better Know in the Haas and FPL Charlie in the Mercedes. Now we're watching CPI Alex. CPI Alex, currently your 4th fastest qualifier with a 1:13.559. He's currently through the stadium section. He's about to round the final corner. Going to try to improve on his lap. Will he be able to? No, he's going into the pits. CPI Alex going into the pits will not improve on his lap this time. Meanwhile, we have Scope Filter on board with Scope now. Scope Filter now out of the final corner, and he will improve his lap time, a 1:12.627 for Scope Filter in the Renault. That beats Burmeister's 1:13.265 by nearly a mile. That is about half a second, 0.6 of a second, more or less. That is a stellar lap from Scope Filter. That is absolutely flying. Scope Filter in his farewell race, in his farewell qualifying session at the moment with the provisional pole. Checking now on V-Sketch HD. He's rounding the final corner. He's now going to start his flying lap. He has 2 laps on the set of soft tires right now. And he goes really fast through turn 1. And he goes way too wide. And that undoubtedly is not going to count. This lap likely will not count for V-Sketch HD. He just has to make his way back around and then get to the pits. V-Sketch HD just having one tough time here today. He just cannot get turn 1 to work for him. He just cannot get the speed into 1 just right where you need it to be. Meanwhile, Rasty, who was at one time the second fastest qualifier, is now down in the 6th position in that McLaren as V-Sketch HD goes by him. Boy Better Know, meanwhile, he has 1 lap on his hard tires, but he is in the pits right now. He has yet to set a time, and FPL Charlie has yet to even go out on track. Scopefielder, meanwhile, still sitting pretty with a 112.627 up top, with Burmeister in 2nd, TB in 3rd, CPI Alex in 4th, V-Sketch HD in 5th, Rasty on your screen right now in the 6th position, White Fountain in 7th. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. Rasty trying to improve on his time, but will not do it that time. He already has 1 lap now on his medium set of tires. Not going to improve. Meanwhile, we now have CPI Alex on his outlap, going through the stadium section in this final sector of the course. He's about to start his flying lap, riding on board with him now. Very smooth through the stadium section. That's what I like to see. Bypassing the pit entrance, he will start a flying lap. It is official. And now the flying lap is underway for CPI Alex, currently with a 113.559. Really going to try to best that here today. Entering turn 2 now. These corners here are so very narrow and so very tight. You have to be very careful to not go too wide and get off into the grass. Going around the hairpin now and driving underneath the Fanatic Benner is CPI Alex. Past the grandstands here. And under the Fly Emirates better. Through the stadium section in the final sector of the course now. Around the final corner, CPI Alex, will he be able to improve on his time? No, yes he will. A 112.649 for CPI Alex, as Birdmeister has also set the fastest time of a 112.498. Scopefielder still in 2nd now with a 112.627. So CPI Alex in 3rd now with a 112.649. A stellar lap from CPI Alex. TB, meanwhile, in the 4th position. He is right behind Alex. TB on his outlap at the moment. Trying to not crowd Alex. Of course, Alex will likely be pulling into the pits after this lap. So TB, while he is on his outlap, is just kind of riding right now, trying to conserve his tires, and then he'll try to go for a fast lap this next time by. TB now past the stadium section and past the pit entrance, going down the straightaway and crossing the line. He is now starting his flying lap, and CPI Alex is going to stay out there and try to set another fast lap. TB and the Toro Rosso now going by the Mercedes of FPL Charlie, who is on his outlap. FPL Charlie has now decided to join us out here on track. Boy Better Know, meanwhile, he's on his outlap as well, but he better hustle. He needs to set a lap time. Meanwhile, TB just giving it everything he's got going under the Emirates Fly Better banner. Entering the stadium section now. Around the final corner, down the straightaway. Will TB be able to improve on his time? Across the line? No, he will not. TB is still at a 113.069, still in the 5th position. Meanwhile, B-Sketch HD has set a 112.801, fast enough for 4th. Scopefielder now down to 3rd with a 112.627, with CPI Alex besting his time. A 112.590 now belongs to CPI Alex, with Burmeister, the 112.498, still fast enough for the provisional pole at the moment. Watching Scopefielder now as he is... I thought he was on a flying lap, but he looks like he's not under full power. So apparently Scopefielder not trying to get the pole here today, at least not this time around. So I do believe what you see right now is what you get with Burmeister being your pole sitter, at least for the moment. We're going to wait and see just to make sure that there are no other surprising developments here to come. TB now down to 6th position, as White Fountain has set a 112.676. That is fast enough for the 4th position. So now the top 5 are in the 112 mark. Boy Better Know did not get a time in, and neither did FPL Charlie. So the qualifying session is now over. Despite some of these guys still being out there, the qualifying session should now be over. These guys right now just riding, trying to get back to the pits. We got 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock, but I feel like it's going to end very soon. But what you see is what you get, with Burmeister being your pole sitter with a 112.498. CPI Alex in 2nd, also with a 112, and there you have it. Of course, Boy Better Know in the Haas machine, lining up in the 8th position. Did not get a time set today, but that is okay. It doesn't matter where you start, it just matters where you finish. And your official starting lineup for the German Grand Prix, the final race of the season for the Invictus Racing League Equal League. Burmeister in 1st, CPI Alex in 2nd, Scopefielder in 3rd, White Fountain in 4th, B-Sketch HD in 5th, TB in 6th, 7th is Rasty, Boy Better Know in 8th, and FPL Charlie in the 9th position. We have 2 racing points, a Renault, 2 Toro Rossos, a McLaren, a Haas, a Mercedes, and a Red Bull. That is your official starting lineup for the German Grand Prix, and we will start that race very, very shortly. Looks like it's going to be a dry race, but a foggy race nonetheless. Looking down the F1 paddock now, we will turn to your YouTube comments. We will turn to the YouTube chat now. So I'm going to turn to all our viewers. This is the final race of the season, and this is Scopefielder's final race for the foreseeable future in the F1 Equal League. So, who do you think is going to win? Who is going to pull off the victory here today? Because the Drivers' Championship has already been decided. Scopefielder is your champion. But who's going to win? There's still a race on the line. And it looks now like the session is going to start here in just about 10 seconds. So, formation lap will be coming here very, very shortly. If you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League German Grand Prix. This is the final race of the season. Your driver's champion of Scopefielder lining up in the 3rd position there in the Renault. And now we are starting our formation lap as the drivers pull off of the grid. Going down the line just one more time. Burmeister making his first start. in the F1 Equal League for the Invictus Racing League right now. He has got the pole right now. CPI Alex in second. Scope Builder in the third position. White Fountain and the Toro Rosso is in fourth. B-Sketch HD and the Red Bull is in fifth. TB in the Toro Rosso in sixth. The McLaren of Rasty is in seventh. Boy Better Know in his Haas machine is in the 8th position, and FPL Charlie is in 9th in the Mercedes. He is going to stay on the grid, it looks like. 34 laps here. There will be quick interviews with the top 3 finishers at the end of this race. Now in the final sector of the course for this formation lap, Burmeister just trying to swerve back and forth, just get a little bit of heat in those tires. Trying to set himself up for the best start and the best race as possible. Of course, we have 8 other drivers doing the same. A field of 9 cars here today. There you see the Mercedes of FPL Charlie on the grid as the drivers go past it to line up in the appropriate grid positions for them. Burmeister, of course, in first, and CPI Alex 2 racing points on the front row, followed by a Renault and a Toro Rosso. Lining up on the grid now, these drivers will be watching for the lights, and there you hear it. You hear the engine revving. You hear those itchy pedal feet, and I am ready for just one final time this season to go green. 5 red lights in the air, and now no red lights. It is green flag going down into turn 1 for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League. It is now underway, and CPI Alex takes a very early lead over Burmeister. The racing points are battling side by side. Meanwhile, we have 2 Toro Rossos in the back battling the Renault of Scope Builder. Scope Builder, of course, holding on to third. The Toro Rosso of White Fountain got a little bit loose from contact from TB. Now the Red Bull of B-Sketch HD, he is sticking his nose in the mix. Meanwhile, CPI Alex is now trying to make a move on Burmeister, who has gotten the lead back, and White Fountain has now moved into third over Scope Builder in the Renault. The Renault of Scope Builder now riding on board with him, and now someone went way, way wide on his outside. That was the Red Bull of B-Sketch HD. He is going to drop back significantly here, all the way back to 7th now, behind the McLaren of Rasty. Rasty in the McLaren putting a lot of pressure on the Toro Rosso of TB right there. Meanwhile, TB putting a lot of pressure on Scope Builder, and they have caught the Racing Point machines, and White Fountain and the Toro Rosso is now moved into second. Burmeister now into third position. White Fountain in second, chasing down CPI Alex. And Burmeister, he goes wide. Burmeister goes wide. He gets into the gravel, but he will hang on to it, but that allows Scope Builder to go underneath him, and there's contact between him and Scope Builder. Burmeister in the Racing Point machine now off the track into the grass in the stadium section in just the first lap. He started on the pole, and now he is dead last in just 1 lap. Meanwhile, his teammate of CPI Alex in the Racing Point machine has set the fastest time, a 1:21.823 right now for this first lap, but he is under an enormous amount of pressure from the Toro Rosso of White Fountain. TB is also in this mix. He is in third. Scope Builder in fourth. He is not letting these drivers get away as well. Remember, this is his last race. Already in the first lap, this race has been crazy, and now Scope Builder making a move on TB. And he has gotten by him. Scope Builder, will he clear him? Yes, he will. Going under the Fanatic banner, Scope Builder has cleared TB for third. Move that Renault into the third position. That is a podium at the moment. Meanwhile, White Fountain putting an enormous amount of pressure still on the Racing Point machine of CPI Alex. CPI Alex just trying to hang on here. He definitely and desperately wants a win. There was some issue with TB. He is now dropped down to the 6th position as FPL Charlie's moved into 4th and B-Sketch HD back into 5th. But now Boy Better Know is all up on the back bumper of TB. This is only for 6th place too. Boy Better Know trying desperately to get by him in his Haas machine there. Toro Rosso versus Haas going into turn 1 now for lap 3. TB goes just a little bit wide. DRS has now been enabled. Going to turn 2 and around this really tight corner. No contact between the Toro Rosso and the Haas. Boy Better Know still in 7th position. TB still in the 6th position. Up front, White Fountain and CPI Alex, they're now battling for the lead. White Fountain got by him momentarily, but CPI Alex, he has now gotten back by him, but they are side by side for a moment, but White Fountain is now falling back in line behind Alex. Past the grandstands here, White Fountain going to try to do a crossover to go underneath Alex to get by him. Now the outside, and he has motored by Alex. White Fountain motored by CPI Alex, going under the Fly Emirates Better banner. And now going into the grandstand section, going into the stadium section, White Fountain will lead. Passing the pit entrance now, White Fountain will lead this lap, and he is out to a half a second lead over CPI Alex, who held on for as long as he could, but White Fountain bested him on the outside just past the grandstands. So now your lineup with B-Sketch HD setting the fastest lap, and FPL Charlie getting a 3-second time penalty. Your running order at the moment is White Fountain in first, CPI Alex in second, and Scope Filter in third. Your driver's champion in his final race for the foreseeable future. And he is having a pretty decent one at that. FPL Charlie, meanwhile, is trying desperately to get by Scope Filter. He's using the DRS and the slipstream to get as close to him as possible. Will he maybe try to make a move on the inside? He thought about it, but knew he couldn't do it. Going under the Fanatic banner now. Scope Filter in third. FPL Charlie in fourth. CPI Alex still in the second position, chasing down White Fountain. As you can see up there is now FPL Charlie trying to go underneath Scope Filter as White Fountain went wide, and that's going to allow CPI Alex to now take the lead back. White Fountain just went way too wide going into the grandstand section there, now in the stadium section. Scope Filter, White Fountain, CPI Alex is all in front of FPL Charlie, who is running in fourth right now. There's White Fountain now with half a second behind CPI Alex. CPI Alex now will lead this lap. White Fountain only got to lead one lap so far. CPI Alex also sets the fastest lap of the session with a 1:16.010. Burmeister now a 1:15.866. So Burmeister now sets the fastest lap. He is running in the 8th position. That was your pole sitter. But unfortunately, he did have an issue to where he went off track, and he dropped all the way down to 9th. Now he has recovered to only the 8th position at the moment, and now there are some battles going on between Boy Better Know and TB, and Boy Better Know got the position. He moved him up into the 6th position now with V-Sketch HD right in front of him. V-Sketch HD now joining this 5-car battle for the lead, essentially. All these drivers approximately within a second or so of each other. V-Sketch HD just kind of at the back of this. And now FPL Charlie trying to go around the outside of Scope Filter. Not going to make it work. And White Fountain, meanwhile, trying to battle back to CPI Alex to get the lead. CPI Alex in first, White Fountain in second, Scope Filter in third, and FPL Charlie in fourth. A 4-car battle for the lead right now. 4-car battle for podium positions. And only 3 of them will have anything to show for it. Past the pit entrance now and around the final corner. The drivers have now settled into a line. CPI Alex in first with White Fountain in second. More or less nose to tail with Scope Filter and FPL Charlie following. The Red Bull of V-Sketch HD, meanwhile, back there, and TB is now retired from the session, going to suffer a DNF as TB. So the Toro Rosso all the way down to 9th now. And he will not finish this race. And very, very unfortunate race for him in the last race of the season. Meanwhile, White Fountain and CPI Alex, they are still battling it out. White Fountain trying to get close to Alex here. He entered high, trying to exit low. Did not make it work the way he wanted to. But he is fairly close to Alex, and he can get by him if Alex makes just one little mistake. There is now a virtual safety car, though. A virtual safety car. Likely for the Toro Rosso of TB. I just have no idea what happened or where he's sitting on the track. But there is now a virtual safety car that is going to allow the field to sort of bunch back up a little bit here. DRS has now been enabled and the virtual safety car has been lifted. going through the final corner now. They will cross the line, and CPI Alex will remain in the lead for now, but White Fountain, he has got a run on him, trying to go on the outside, but CPI Alex blocks his advance. Going through turn 1 now. Heading into turn 2, CPI Alex leads. FPL Charlie, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's at least 6 seconds now. Scope Builder in the 3rd position at the moment, and he is just watching this battle in front of him for the lead, and he is just waiting to take advantage of it whenever he can. White Fountain now making a move on CPI Alex. They are side by side. White Fountain with a huge lockup into the hairpin. CPI Alex, that will allow him to get back into the 1st position. White Fountain had the lead just for a split second, but there was a huge lockup, and that sent him nearly around, which allowed CPI Alex to get the lead. But now Alex locking up, going in front of the grandstands there. Now going under the fly Emirates better. Next time they pass under that banner, White Fountain wants to be leading. A huge lockup from the right on the right front of White Fountain, and now that's going to allow Scope Builder to close in very closely to White Fountain now. There you see your top 5 all in a row there. Scope Builder in 3rd, trying desperately to get by White Fountain. FPL Charlie trying to hold off the Red Bull of V-Sketch HD while also getting by the Renault of Scope Builder, but he's not going to be able to do it this time as V-Sketch HD is all up on his bumper. Scope Builder, meanwhile, giving the top 2 a little bit of room, and White Fountain now trying to make a move on CPI Alex, and he will clear him. He will clear him going into the hairpin. CPI Alex now in just the 2nd position. Around the hairpin and under the Fnatic banner, White Fountain leads. I said that next time they went under the Fly Emirates banner that he would want to lead, and it looks like he's going to, but now they are entering the grandstands right now. White Fountain still in the lead, gets just a little bit of a bobble there, but no harm, no foul, and now FPL Charlie has gotten by Scope Builder somehow, some way today. FPL Charlie got by Scope Builder. V-Sketch HD now in the Red Bull, putting pressure on Scope Builder. White Fountain still leads. V-Sketch just biding his time back here, just watching these guys, seeing what he can do different to try to improve his lot in life right now, to try to improve where he is on the racetrack. He wants to get by Scope Builder, but he cannot push it. Meanwhile, it looked like Scope Builder might have cut that corner going into 1. Not sure how the stewards feel about that. Scope Builder, meanwhile, trying to get ever so closer to FPL Charlie, but he is pulling away from Scope with a 6-second time penalty on his head. It is going to be a very difficult race to win. Scope Builder carrying a lot of speed into the hairpin, but could not make it stick. FPL Charlie will still be in 3rd. White Fountain still leads, and he's leading CPI Alex now by over a second. 1 second, 1.001 to be exact, as they go past the grandstands here. CPI Alex, he had a good taste of the lead, but now he is watching it slip away. Meanwhile, Boy Better Know now with a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings from the stewards, as is Rasty with multiple warnings from the stewards. 3-second time penalty to him as well. Those drivers running in 6th and 8th, respectively. FPL Charlie now making a move for 2nd on CPI Alex, and he has cleared him going into the hairpin. So CPI Alex now trying to fight back against Charlie, but it's not going to work as Charlie is now pulling away in that Mercedes. FPL Charlie now has his sights set on first and has his sights set on that Toro Rosso of White Fountain. Pit stops will be starting here very shortly, I do believe. But not this time around, at least not for White Fountain or FPL Charlie, who is just racing, trying to get everything they can get. White Fountain 2 seconds ahead of FPL Charlie. FPL Charlie with another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's about 9 seconds over his head now. He's going to have an over 9-second lead over the car behind him. So if FPL Charlie's going to win this race, as it stands now, he's going to have about a 9.1 second lead over second place. Of course, he is in second place right now, chasing down White Fountain. CPI Alex now getting a little bit closer to him in the hairpin, but FPL Charlie gets a good exit and speeds away. Alex in third, Scope Filter is in fourth. Alex with a huge lockup on that left front. It won't be able to take much more of that, I can guarantee you that. On board with Alex, and you see the gap to Charlie up ahead. And you just see that Mercedes fading away as they go into turn 1. Scope Filler now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from the stewards. So Scope Filler with 3 seconds. That turn 1 is just the devil, is it not? Rasty with another 3-second time penalty as well. Running in the 8th position right now, and he is struggling today. Scope Footer half a second behind. CPI Alex trying to make something of it, but doesn't look like he is quite fast enough to do it at the moment. V-Sketch HD is behind him as well. V-Sketch HD 1.3 seconds behind. He's just kind of riding in 5th, just trying to hang on. Boy Better Know is slowly gaining on him now. Riding on board on the Haas machine of Boy Better Know, that number 25. Through the stadium section and passing the pit entrance. Now rounding the final corner. Boy Better Know across the line is a second behind V-Sketch HD. But he chops it down to 0.8 now, 0.9, heading into turn 2. How will he do on this exit here? It's 0.939 behind V-Sketch HD right now. Boy Better Know wanting that 5th position, and he is eating into the gap. But it's still a pretty big gap. But he is now within DRS range, so that is going to help him tremendously so long as he can actually have DRS and be in DRS range next zone we get to. On board with CPI Alex, who has closed the gap on Charlie just a little bit. 0.8 seconds now separating him and Charlie. Down the front stretch now. This is lap 14 of 34, so we now have just 21 laps remaining. And Burmeister has now made a move on V-Sketch HD for 6th, but that is because V-Sketch HD has pulled into the pits. Now checking to see what tires the drivers will choose. V-Sketch HD going on the medium tires. White Fountain on the medium tires right now, but they are old medium tires with 13 laps on them. He's going to have to pit very soon, but right now he is holding a very comfortable lead over Charlie. A 3-second lead over FPL Charlie right now. Scope Fitter now getting close to CPI Alex. He is less than half a second between the two now. The Racing Point trying desperately to stay on the podium. Scope Fitter wants a podium, if not a win, for his final race. 21 laps to go. Around the grandstand section now. CPI Alex. His car is getting bigger in Scope Filter's line of sight. About to enter the front stretch, but pit stops will be starting now, and CPI Alex will give the position to Scope Filter as he goes into the pits now. Scope Filter in third, CPI Alex in the pits. After 13 laps on his tires, he has decided he has had enough and pulling into the pits now. Likely going to take the hards. Fitting the hard tires on, and now he is away. He will rejoin this race in what looks to be the 7th position. No, he will not. He will rejoin it in the 8th position, just behind B-Sketch HD. So B-Sketch HD, he has gained time now. So CPI Alex now in the 9th position, or excuse me, 8th position. Boy Better Know now in 4th, fighting with Scope Filter. They are side by side. These drivers, they have the same compound tire and the same age on both of them. Nice onboard shot from Boy Better Know, who is now in the 3rd position as White Fountain has now decided to pit. Going to fit the hard tires on now is White Fountain, with FPL Charlie, Scope Filter, and Boy Better Know all on old hard tires. Boy Better Know now making a move on Scope Filter for the 2nd position, and Scope Filter concedes it. Scope Filter will let him by. Boy Better Know just a little bit faster right now. But Scope Filter, he's going to try to fight back past these grandstands here. Scope Filter still staying in line behind Boy Better Know. On board with Scope Filter as he activates the DRS going through turn 1. He's got to be careful to not get another penalty here. And now V-Sketch HD has set the fastest time of the session with a 1:14.705. A good lap from V-Sketch HD. Boy Better Know still in the 2nd position right now, chasing down FPL Charlie. That is a 2.2 second gap up to 1st. FPL Charlie, of course, with about 9 seconds worth of time penalties. So as they run right now, if the race were to end this very second, Boy Better Know would likely be your leader because Scope Filter at least has 3. And FPL Charlie has about 9 seconds. So penalties may very well come into play toward the end of this race. White Fountain now, after 2 laps on his hard tires. Running in 4th right now, CPI Alex is in 6th. V-Sketch HD is 5th. So Alex, he lost some time on those round of pit stops. Of course, he started on the medium tire and then had to fit the hard. Still don't understand why he lost so much time, as he was in front of V-Sketch HD, but V-Sketch obviously very fast here today. Watching B-Sketch right now in his Red Bull. FPL Charlie now going into the pit, as is Boy Better Know and Scope Filter. So your 3 leaders now going into the pits after 18 laps on their hard tires. Fitting the mediums is Scope Filter, Boy Better Know, and FPL Charlie, and all 3 of them are now away and out of the pits. Boy Better Know was held for a few seconds to serve a penalty. I think Scope Filter might have been as well. Burmeister, after starting on the pole on the first lap through the stadium section, he was off the course, dropped all the way down to 9th, has now recovered to the 6th position and is battling hard, trying to get close to Scope Filter just ahead of him. Scope Filter on medium tires, fighting CPI Alex on hard tires. Scope Filter on fresh mediums, mind you, with an obvious speed advantage over the Racing Point machine of Alex. Meanwhile, we have White Fountain in the lead with B-Sketch HD in 2nd and FPL Charlie running in the 3rd position. Lap 20 of 34. B-Sketch HD now with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from the stewards. CPI Alex still in the 4th position, trying to hold off Scope Filter, who is using the DRS at any given opportunity. Will he be able to get by Alex now? Going around the outside, Scope Filter, he will get by Alex, and he has cleared him. Scope Filter now moves into 4th, approaching the hairpin corner. For a brief moment, Burmeister was somewhat close to Alex there. Or excuse me, Boy Better Know was close to Alex. Boy Better Know now a second behind CPI Alex. And Alex almost a second behind Scope Filter now as well. Scope Filter just absolutely pulling away on those fresh mediums. Watching him now and seeing that he now has his sights set on FPL Charlie. CPI Alex, something has happened. He has spun. CPI Alex has spun. So he is now down to the 7th position, and that is unfortunate. Alex, who at the early goings thought maybe he could have got a win here today, then dropped down to 2nd and 3rd, was running fairly well, around the top 5, has now spun and is in the 7th position behind his teammate of Burmeister running in 6th. So CPI Alex spun. That gave position to Boy Better Know, who is now in the 5th position. And now FPL Charlie and B-Sketch HD are battling it out. B-Sketch goes wide and into the gravels. Will not be able to catch Charlie this time. B-Sketch trying desperately to chase down Charlie, just not sure if it's going to work. Going into turn 1 now. Scope Filter and the Renault riding on board with him now as we watch the battle ahead. Although it's not much of a battle at the moment, as FPL Charlie is now pulling away from B-Sketch. But B-Sketch has the DRS and he is getting ever so closer to him, but not able to get close enough to try to make a move going into the hairpin. FPL Charlie will hold on to the position for now. Meanwhile, out in front is White Fountain in the Toro Rosso, and he is out to a 3.6 second lead. 6 laps on his hard tires. He will likely be going to the end of the race with just 13 laps to go. V-Sketch HD has now closed the gap to about 0.8 to 0.9 seconds there for a moment. Was not close enough to get the DRS, and FPL Charlie now with another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from the stewards. That is, I think, up to 12 seconds now. Boy better know now, with a 3-second time penalty from multiple warnings. These drivers, they are just cutting it so very close in turn 1. Here's Boy better know right now running in the 5th position. Scope Filter is in 4th, just ahead of him. 2.5 seconds ahead of him, rather. Scope Filter chasing down V-Sketch HD, but he is not even in DRS range. He is 1.2 seconds back. Scope Filter with fresher tires than V-Sketch should be catching him fairly shortly, but V-Sketch is pretty fast at the moment. V-Sketch has his sights set on FPL Charlie in the 2nd position, and he wants it bad. But he just does not get close enough. Lap 24 of 34 now. Just 11 laps to go. Scope Filter now making a move on V-Sketch HD. He got the DRS. That just came out of nowhere. I was just riding on board. V-Sketch HD just looking ahead out to Charlie. And I was thinking, you know, what would it take for V-Sketch HD to get there? But then Scope Filter just motors by him. So Scope Filter now going after Charlie. Meanwhile, Rasty with another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from the stewards. Rasty running in the 8th position right now. Scope Filter trying desperately to chase down FPL Charlie, but he has a mirror full of the Red Bull of V-Sketch HD. V-Sketch HD trying to use the slipstream and DRS when available to get close to Scope Filter. He thought about diving down to the inside, but thought better of it that time around. Probably should have stayed in line, trying to get as much slipstream as possible from Scope. Past the grandstand sections now, it's 10 laps to go. And they know it, and they are wanting desperately to start duking it out and to get by each other. Or at least V-Sketch HD wants to get by Scope. Scope would rather hang on. Because as it's looking right now, with as many time penalties that Charlie has, Scope should be getting the 2nd position. Scope has 1 or 2 time penalties, while Charlie has up to 12 seconds of time penalties. On board with Scope, as he is now closing in on Charlie very significantly now. There for just a moment, he was within a second of him now. Now just a little bit over a second. Lap 27 of 34 now. Scopefitter still trying to chase down Charlie, but not sure if he can do anything with it at all. Really no battles going on at the moment here. White Fountain out to a very comfortable lead, a 2.6 second lead over FPL Charlie in the second position. Just behind him is Scopefitter, your driver's champion, in third. V-Sketch HD in fourth. Fifth is Boy Better Know. Burmeister is in sixth with CPI Alex in seventh. And then Rasty is in eighth with TB in ninth with a DNF. After only 5 laps, he unfortunately DNF'd from the race. White Fountain coming around to complete lap 27 is now lap 28 of 34. Just behind him, the battle is starting to heat up a little bit between Charlie and Scopefitter. And Boy Better Know and V-Sketch HD are now duking it out, except V-Sketch HD has went into the pits. So that gives Boy Better Know the position, but there is no battle going on. V-Sketch now changing to the soft tires, going to try to maybe set the fastest lap and try to gain as much time as possible now on these guys. Lap 28 of 34 with just about 7 laps remaining in this race and in the season. These are the final laps of the season. V-Sketch rejoins the race in the 7th position. 40 seconds ahead of Rasty in the McLaren, who is just now rounding the final straightaway to cross the line. It's now lap 28 for him. CPI Alex, who unfortunately spun earlier in the race, running in 6th, could have had a better day, but just wasn't in the cards for him. Burmeister as well. Burmeister, he was off the track on lap 1 after starting on the pole. So just not in the cards for him to have a better day than what he's having, but a 5th place run is still a good rebound. And the race is not over. He may just be able to get by Boy Better Know. Who knows? That is 8 seconds ahead, so it's going to take a lot of driving, maybe even a huge mistake from Boy Better Know. But his race is not quite over just yet, with just 5 laps remaining now. There is Boy Better Know in the Haas machine. He has absolutely nobody around him. But in front of him, 4.4 seconds in front of him, is Scopefitter fighting with FPL Charlie. Getting closer. He's within half a second now. Meanwhile, FPL Charlie is within 2 seconds of White Fountain. That lead was 2.6 just a few laps ago. So White Fountain now not so much out to the most comfortable of leads. 2 seconds still a decent gap. But he's going to have to start paying attention to it. He's going to have to start looking behind him just ever so slightly, just to make sure that he can keep these guys out behind him and he can stay in front. But Scopefitter, he is wanting in front. He's wanting in front of this race. But meanwhile, the only driver he is worried about is FPL Charlie, who is 0.6 seconds ahead. And he just seems barely out of Scopefitter's reach at the moment. Going down the front straightaway, it is lap 30 of 34 now. Just 4 laps remaining in this race. V-Sketch HD has set the fastest lap of the session, a 1:13.8 for V-Sketch, who is in the 6th position right now. He's 2.5 seconds behind Burmeister, and he might just be able to make a pass for 5th. Who knows? We will see. And now it is starting to rain. It is starting to rain just a little bit. And this might very well affect the race results. With it starting to rain now, will these drivers have to pit for intermediate tires here for the end, or is it just a light enough rain that they will be okay? I think right now it is light enough of a rain that it will be okay, but it is going to be very interesting here for the last few laps. But right now, Racing Slicks obviously preferred. Of course, the drivers really do not have a choice. I mean, I personally would not want to be the first one to pit for intermediate tires. Boy better know, meanwhile with another 3-second time penalty from the stewards. B-Sketch HD now making a move on Burmeister. And he made the move and made it look easy. He is now out in front of him. Scope Filter still trying to chase down FPL Charlie. We're going to watch this battle and stay with it. Lap 31 of 34. 4 laps to go in this race right now. Scope Filter trying to hang on for a podium position in what will be his final race for the foreseeable future. FPL Charlie, meanwhile, trying to hang on for 2nd, but it's basically just a moot point, as he has way more time penalties than Scope does, but I suppose he doesn't know that, and all he can do is hang on for whatever he can get. But Scope Filter now starting to take it a little more cautiously. Scope Filter now 0.8 seconds behind FPL Charlie, taking it very, very cautiously. And with it raining, who can blame him? Meanwhile, taking a look at the lead of White Fountain, who has now increased it to 2.4 seconds over FPL Charlie. So White Fountain in the lead by 2.4 seconds, and it has got to be really difficult to hang on to that Toro Rosso right now. Old hard tires, and it's sprinkling. What a terrible, terrible combination that must be. But he is doing a fine job of it right now, holding on to the lead in these closing laps of the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League season. Through the stadium section and past the pit entrance, going down the front straightaway and crossing the line. Lap 33 of 34. Now just 2 laps to go here in the German Grand Prix. White Fountain out to a very nice lead over FPL Charlie, who is under pressure from Scope Filter, but not an enormous amount of pressure by any means. With it sprinkling and with so many time penalties acquired by FPL Charlie, Scope Filter knows that the best thing he can do is just try to take it easy. Scope Filter now a second behind. FPL Charlie gets much better exits out of the corners than Scope Filter is able to. Scope just so very close, but cannot seem to get by him. But he's battling back and battling back very hard nonetheless. Now entering the stadium section, and FPL Charlie went just a little bit wide, but don't think he got the gravel, so I think he's going to be okay. This is the battle for second, as White Fountain is now going to be rounding the final corner and going down the straightaway, crossing the line. This is now the white flag lap. White flag in the air for White Fountain. 1 more lap to go in the German Grand Prix. Through turn 1, heading down into turn 2. White Fountain now to a very comfortable lead, as FPL Charlie and Scope Filter behind him are still battling it out. Scope Filter now just half a second within FPL Charlie. Charlie now going a bit slow, but he is going to stay out ahead of Scope Filter for now It is 0.6 seconds. It is starting to rain even harder now, but DRS is still activated. DRS still enabled, and Scope Filter is using it to his advantage to try to close in on FPL Charlie. Trying to use the slipstream and trying to use the DRS. Cannot make it that time. Through the hairpin and under the Fnatic banner. FPL Charlie will still hold on 2 seconds. Scope Filter, your driver's champion in his final race, trying to get second. Past these grandstands and heading now to the stadium section. FPL Charlie still out ahead of Scope Filter. White Fountain ahead of them all. White Fountain now through the stadium section. All he has to do is hang on for 3 more corners. Passing the pin entrance now and rounding the final corner for the final time this season. And he will cross the line as a winner. White Fountain in the Toro Rosso will win the German Grand Prix for the F1 Equal League. Scope Filter will squeak by to get the second position from FPL Charlie due to time penalties. So Scope Filter officially finishes in second. Your driver's champion of Scope in his final race will finish in the second position. Charlie in third. Boy Better Know in fourth. V-Sketch HD in fifth. Burmeister is in sixth right now and will cross the line in sixth, with CPI Alex just behind him in seventh. Rasty in the 8th position in the McLaren, 24 seconds behind them, just now going through the stadium section. Past the pit entrance and rounding the final corner, Rasty will finish in the 8th position. And of course, TB with the DNF in the 9th position. That was a stellar German Grand Prix, and congratulations to White Fountain on ending the season on a high note with a win. Congratulations to Scope Filter on ending his final race with a podium. And, of course, winning the Drivers' Championship. And congratulations to FPL Charlie, who despite the time penalties was still able to hold on for a 3rd place finish. And remember, there will be brief interviews with the top 3 drivers after this race. But to give you an update on the final lineup, on the finishing order, one final time, the final time this season, White Fountain in first in the Toro Rosso, the Ritto of Scope Filter in second, FPL Charlie in third in the Mercedes, the Haas of Boy Better Know in fourth, fifth is V-Sketch HD in the Red Bull, the Racing Point Machine of Burmeister in sixth, and another Racing Point Machine of CPI Alex is in seventh, with Rasty 8th place in the McLaren and TB in the Toro Rosso suffering a DNF. Very unfortunate for him, but there is always, next season, there is always another race. Congratulations to your podium finishers, and I will now invite them into the party. The screen will be going black for those viewing on YouTube. I do apologize for that. But we will be inviting White Fountain, Scope, and FPL Charlie. Now we will just wait for the drivers to get into the lobby for interviews. A very stellar race put on by the top 3 all race long. A lot of times there were even 5-car battles for the lead. Just waiting for the drivers to join in the party. And now all the drivers have joined. Please allow your voice to be shared. We only have Scope Flitter and White Fountain. Now we have FPL Charlie as well. We have all 3 podium finishers in the lobby now. And if I could just get some confirmation to make sure that you guys are able to hear me at the moment.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
All right, that is wonderful. Well, first things first, let's start out with White Fountain. White Fountain, you won the race in spectacular fashion. No one could catch you there at the end. You had hard tires on where everyone behind you had mediums. So your strategy of starting on mediums and then going to the hards worked versus everyone else starting on hards and going to mediums. So just tell us about your race, White Fountain, and when did it look like a win was very possible? Because you were just absolutely flying through the field early on.
Yeah, I had a great start, but after a couple of laps, I suddenly saw Charlie on the hards behind me, and I knew he had to go to the mediums in his second stint. So I actually thought he was going to win, even when I was on the hards and he was on the mediums. I thought he was gonna catch me by a second a lap, but he kind of stayed at 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds behind me, and it was just in the end surviving the wet and hoping I could stay on track.
Well, you definitely did, and you know, there at the end where it started raining, was the rain, how difficult was that making things for you? Because surely with hard tires that already have limited grip compared to the others, and then with them being worn and it raining, it must have been very difficult to hang on to.
Well, in the beginning it was just like a light drizzle, so wasn't too much of an effect to my tires, but the last 2 laps it was really where I started losing like 3-4 seconds a lap because of the wet, and it's just the braking areas is the most difficult ones, because when those tires lock up you just go straight ahead, but in the end I managed to take them carefully and make it to the finish line.
Well, you definitely hang on to it, and you did a very fantastic job, and it shows with a win. Congratulations, White Fountain. Now moving on to FPL Charlie, who physically on the track you finished second, but after the time penalties you acquired, you were all the way down to third. So just tell us about your race. I'm assuming that most, if not all, those time penalties were acquired in turn 1, where we saw a lot of drivers have issues. So just tell us about your race and the difficulty of the track, and how you were still able to make sure you get third.
It started to go a bit badly on lap 1, to be honest, because that's when I picked up a bit of wing damage. But it was only a slight wing damage, so in the pits they wouldn't change it. So the whole race, I kept running wide at turn 1 because my wing damage was on the left. So I had big understeer in every right-hand corner. So I was really struggling through turn 1, and I picked up a lot of penalties early on, but once I learned how to manage it, I didn't get so many at the end. But yeah, my pace was still good even though I had the damage, but I couldn't quite catch Fountain, and only just managed to keep Scope further behind because my straight line speed was quite good.
Yeah, it definitely was, and you all had a very, very entertaining battle there. Even when you weren't exactly close together, I was always watching the time. I was watching your time and Scope's time, just trying to see, you know, who maybe could come out on top at the end. And now moving on to Scope Flitter, who physically on track finishes third, but squeaks by for the second position. Your driver's champion will finish in second in the German Grand Prix in his final race for the foreseeable future. Scope, first of all, I hate that you're taking a break from league racing, but I completely understand, and I hope that you had a very wonderful farewell race. And just tell us about it, and you know, just tell us about your strategy in, you know, going from the hards to mediums. And do you think that maybe if something went different in the race, you could have been able to win, or was White Fountain just too fast there at the beginning?
I wanted to qualify on the mediums, but I screwed up the first corner there, so I invalidated immediately. So kind of screwed there because I think I would have got pole otherwise. And then there was, in the beginning, it was a huge train, so I think if I would have got pole there, there would be a good chance of me running away. But now I started on the hard, so I had a good lap. So, but Charlie and the other guys were pretty fast, so couldn't keep them behind me. And then towards the end, I knew Charlie had 12 seconds of penalties, so, and I was only like 2 or 3 times faster than him per lap, so wasn't really point there fighting him. So yeah, a bit disappointed to not get the win, but White Fountain deserved it, so congrats to him.
Yeah, and nonetheless, you still put up really amazing battles, and early on, you know, you were running about 4th or 5th, and you were able to rebound for a podium there at the end, so you did a wonderful job. All 3 of you drivers, congratulations on your podium. White Fountain, congratulations to the win. Thank you guys so much for racing with us. Some of us, I may see you back next season. Scope Litter, I know that you are taking a break, so best of luck to you in your life. And thank you for racing with us. And do you have any parting thoughts, any of you?
It was a good race.
Yeah.
It was fun battling with everyone, and it was nice to be racing with Scope, and I hope he joins us again soon.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's been fun racing in Invictus, and hopefully I'll be back soon enough, so we'll see.
Well done to you and Fountain on the win.
Yeah, thanks.
Definitely. Well, I just knocked my headset right off of my head, so I'm not even sure if it's still working. But if it is, thank you guys so much for racing with us, and thank you guys for watching on YouTube. This is the final race of the season, but we will be back in a few weeks. And until then, thank you guys so much, and bye-bye.